Roasted peanut and soybean bait. Ultimate hack for lake fishing success. Hey there, fishing fanatics. Happy new day and welcome back to Fishing 24 Hours, your go-to channel for hardcore fishing tips and stories that make every trip legendary. Ever dropped your bait in a lake, float twitching like crazy, but only pulled up tiny minnows with no sign of bluegill or carp? Perfect bait, prime spot, yet all you get is small fry stealing your bait before it hits the bottom. It's the classic angler's nightmare in natural lakes and ponds. Today we're diving into the ultimate hack, roasted peanut and soybean bait. A time-tested recipe with a nutty aroma that gets big fish biting and turns you into a lake fishing legend with a bucket full of monsters. This takes me back a few months to Lake Toledo Bend, Texas, a hotspot known for hefty bluegill and carp. I was using store-bought chum casting away all morning, but my float kept dancing from tiny fish nibbling. My bait dissolved before it could sink to the bottom. Frustrated, an old angler nearby grinned and said, "Small fish, stealing your bait? Try roasted peanuts and ground soybeans mixed with cornmeal. That'll get to the bottom for the big ones." I took his advice, whipped up the bait at home. Roasted peanuts, ground soybeans, cornmeal, and rice bran. I cast near some lily pads, and in just 10 minutes, my float dove clean under. I reeled in a 2-pound bluegill, thrashing like mad. That day I bagged a few carp too, my bucket heavy, pride through the roof. That's when I knew roasted peanut and soybean bait was the key to winning at natural lakes. In this video, we'll explore why roasted peanut and soybean bait hooks bluegill and carp, how to make it right, pick the perfect spot, and use practical tips to get your bait to the bottom safely. I'll share 2 real-life stories from the US to fire you up, plus advice for beginners and safety tips to own any fishing hole. This trick works in ponds, lakes, and bayous across the states, from Lake Toledo Bend to Bayou Teche, for species like bluegill, carp, and crappie. So grab a cold soda, kick back, and let's dive into this killer bait recipe to land monster fish. Why does roasted peanut and soybean bait work so well? Roasted peanuts give off a rich, nutty aroma. Soybeans add a natural sweetness, and mixing them with cornmeal and rice bran creates a scent that carries far, pulling bluegill and carp from a distance. This bait holds firm at the lake bottom, dodging small fish. In natural lakes, bluegill and carp crave nutty grain flavors, mimicking their wild diet. I've tested this on countless trips, and it's always a game changer for landing big fish without losing bait to minnows. Making the bait is the first step. Grab roasted peanuts, golden and fragrant, and soybeans, roasted and ground fine. Mix with cornmeal and rice bran at a 2:1 to 1:1 ratio, adding a splash of clean water for moisture. Use a sealed container, stir well, and let it sit for 2 to 3 hours to meld the flavors. Roll the bait into fingertip-sized balls, packing them tight so they don't dissolve easily. Cast near lily pads or submerged roots, 0.8 to 1.2 meters deep. Bluegill nibble lightly, so wait for the float to dive fully or pull steadily, then set the hook gently. Use a 6 to 8 pound test line, size 4 to 6 hooks, and a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker. At Lake Toledo Bend, this bait with a sensitive float is a killer for bluegill. A key tip is to use chum the right way. Scatter a bit of rice bran or crumbled peanut soybean mix 6 to 10 feet from your main spot to distract small fish. Wait 10 to 15 minutes, then cast your main bait to the hot spot. Watch for bubbles, fish shadows, or ripples to know big fish are moving in. If the float twitches from small fry, wait for a full dive, then set the hook. Mix in sticky rice flour or lake bed dirt to make the bait tougher. At Lake Toledo Bend, chumming near lily pads gets carp swarming fast, letting your main bait sink safely to the bottom. Another trick is to tweak your casting technique. Cast sharply, aiming right at the hot spot to cut down on time the bait spends floating mid-water. Use a sensitive float, under 1 gram, to catch light nibbles. If small fish steal your bait, pack it larger or add sticky rice flour for durability. At Bayou Teche, I pack peanut soybean bait tight, cast to the bottom, and carp hit hard after 15 minutes of chumming. If the float shakes hard, set the hook quick but gentle to avoid snapping the line. Tailoring bait for specific fish is crucial. For bluegill, pack the bait firm, mix in cornmeal for scent, and cast to the bottom, 10 to 20 centimeters off the lake bed. For carp, add chopped grass or soured milk to the bait, Use a 1/8 ounce sinker and cast mid-water, 50 to 100 centimeters deep. Pour big crappie mix and rice bran for a natural scent and cast near lily pads. Jiggle the rod every 2 to 3 seconds to spread the scent. Use a 4 to 6 pound test line for strength. At Lake Toledo Bend, peanut bait mixed with soured milk is a carp magnet. Picking the right spot matters too. Calm lakes like Lake Toledo Bend or slow bayous like Bayou Teche are where this bait shines. Farm ponds or soft-bottom channels are great for bluegill and carp too. Cast near lily pad edges, submerged roots, or shaded trees, 0.8 to 1.2 meters deep. Use a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker to keep bait grounded. At Bayou Teche, lily pads or roots, after a light rain, are prime spots. If you don't see bubbles or fish, move to a shadier spot and chum first. Timing is everything. Bluegill and carp feed hard early morning from 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. or late afternoon, from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. near lily pads or shade. Light rain or a gentle breeze are perfect. As big fish move to the bottom and small fry ease up, at Lake Toledo Bend, post-rain lily pad spots are gold for bluegill. If your float's still, wait for prime hours or scatter more chum lightly. Patience is key to making this work. No bait is minnow-proof, even this magic peanut soybean mix. The trick is firm bait, smart chumming, and casting to the right depth. If the float twitches from small fish, don't swap bait to quick you'll lose your hotspot. Instead, use a heavier sinker or chum farther out. At Bayou Teche, sticking with firm bait and a 1/8 ounce sinker got me past the minnows to land big carp. To show you how this bait rocks, here's another story. One time at Bayou Teche, Louisiana, I fished with some buddies. They used store-bought chum, but small fish tore it apart, floats dancing non-stop. I mixed roasted peanut and soybean bait with cornmeal, chummed 6 feet away. In under 15 minutes, my float sank hard, and I reeled in a 3-pound carp splashing like crazy. The crew was stunned. That bait pulls in monsters like that? That day, I hooked more bluegill, my bucket heavy, a lesson I'll never forget: to fish like a pro, prep smart. Use golden roasted peanuts, finely ground soybeans, quality cornmeal, and rice bran. Bring a sealed container to mix bait, adding sticky rice flour or lake bed dirt. Use a sensitive float, under 1 gram, a 6 to 8 pound test line, and a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker. Watch the water for bubbles, ripples, or fish to pick your spot. Chum first, cast bait after. If no bites in 15 to 20 minutes, switch spots or mix in more peanuts. At Lake Toledo Bend, this bait with a sensitive float is a deadly combo. In calm lakes, cast near lily pads or roots 10 to 20 centimeters off the bottom. In bayous, pick slow current corners. In muddy ponds, drop to the bottom with a 1/8 ounce sinker. After light rain, lily pad spots are ideal. Keep testing. If small fish steal bait, chum farther or pack it tighter. Avoid murky water after heavy rainfish shy away. Don't cast in noisy spots, as big fish scatter. Safety's a big deal. Watch for slippery banks, especially after rain at Lake Toledo Bend, to avoid falls. At Bayou Teche, wear a life jacket near currents. Keep noise low and avoid casting shadows on the water, as bluegills spook easy. Set a backup light behind you at night to see your path. Pack bait tightly to avoid splattering. A little caution keeps your trip fun and safe. If you're new to fishing, this bait is a great start. Try a local pond with peanut soybean bait mixed with cornmeal, casting to the bottom near lily pads for bluegill. Chum a bit to distract minnows. Note which spots and baits work, like carp after rain. Don't sweat a twitchy float from small fish switch spots or pack bait firmer. These tricks build your observation and patience, making big catches a breeze. To level up, practice mixing bait to the right ratio, chumming accurately, or picking spots by lily pads or shade. Spend trips at lakes, ponds, or bayous, reading water signs. Use sensitive floats, strong lines, proper sinkers. In crowded spots, find quiet corners to keep fish calm. These details turn you into a pro angler with just a simple recipe. Roasted peanut and soybean bait is a secret few share. Tasty bait, firm packing, and the right depth are the keys to hooking bluegill and carp. 3 words: nutty, tough, spot on. Every time your bait hits the hot spot, fish swarm, float dives clean. It feels like carrying on the old-timer's legacy. When the float sinks slow, heart racing, hands gripping the rod, that's a moment only anglers get. Rookie or pro, this hack will make you king of any fishing hole. That's it, folks. We've cracked the secrets of roasted peanut and soybean bait, from mixing, casting, to avoiding slip-ups. I hope you're pumped to try this killer bait. Smash that like, share with your fishing crew, and subscribe to Fishing 24 Hours for more epic tips. Got a bait story to share? Drop it in the comments. I'm all ears. Tight lines, big catches. See you next time.